Hello. Today I'm going to talk about dependency injection and a little bit about what that is. I'm going to use Nodejs as my demonstration language, and we will talk about what dependency injection is, why you should use it, how you should use it, and also a little bit about a dependency injection NPM package that I like. There are plenty out there, but I'm going to show you one because I think it's the most simple. Dependency injection is a design pattern, so to say, where you inject the dependencies that you want a module to have and that the module is using into the module itself. Instead of importing them or requiring them by code, you just pass them in the constructor function. And I'm going to show you an example of how that can look like. So let's jump to WebStorm, and I hope that you can read this very, very small font. Maybe I should size it up a bit. So I have created example application. Maybe you shouldn't call it an app, but an example program. This is a project with an index file, index.js here, and the index file is just creating the login with email controller that I have written here. So it's a very simple app that just imitates a login with an email address. This is not something you should build if you are actually building something with login. This is just for demonstration purpose only. So let's look at the login with email controller here, because that's the interesting part. I'm using the revealing module pattern for JavaScript. If you haven't heard about it, read up. It's a very powerful pattern. It's the simplest explanation is that you are having a function that's returning an object containing the function that you want your module to reveal. So I want my login with email controller to reveal my invoke function here. Let me just clean that up. So this function, it needs a user provider and an email validator, and this is the dependency injection right here. And the creator, the function that creates this module, it takes a user provider module and an email validator in its constructor function. So when I am using this function here, I need to send in, oh, let me just check there. I have forgotten to remove something here. No, I have forgot. Yeah, the user provider, it shouldn't be there. Sorry. Example code, you know. So the login with email controller here, it needs email validator. So we are giving it the email validator. It itself is not requiring it. It's just getting it injected. And then we can use the email validator here in the code. And the email validator, let me show you, it looks just like this. Oh, it doesn't do anything. It should return something true, maybe. Just for demonstration purpose. So what can you inject? You can inject functions or modules that does something and that does not have a state. For example, if you have a user, you cannot inject the user. That is not dependency injection. The user is not a dependency, but an email validator can be a dependency. And for example, a user provider that I written there earlier, user gateway, contacts provider, and stuff like that. Factory functions. All right, so let's move on to the next point here. The next subtask I have written, the how. How should you use it? Or no, I'm sorry, why should you use it? I'm skipping ahead here. Too excited. Why should you use it? Well, Sorry, my screen recording program stopped. Apparently, I can only record for 5 minutes. Let's get it on. So we have covered what is dependency injection. Now, why should you use it? I have written some words here. It's very easy to change your program when you're using dependency injection. For example, if you have a module that's sending emails, and then you want it to send SMS instead, text messages instead, you can just change the code in the module. You don't have to care about the users, as long as you don't change the interface, of course. And it's very easy to test, and that is something I'm going to show you later. Very easy to test because you can pass in modules or stubs or mocks that represents the dependencies. That's very powerful when you are testing. It's also less boilerplates, especially less boilerplate code. You don't have to require parameter dependencies into your modules. You get them injected. And also, when you're using this dependency loader here that I'm going to show you later, you don't even have to set very much up to get the dependency injection. All right. So let's look a little bit of the easy to test part of these words here. So I'm going to close some things here. I have the login with email controller here. Let's say that we want to work with that. We are using tests because tests is awesome. I have a test for the login with email controller here. It's very simple. Let me just fix this. I want my code there and my tests here, like that. All right. So when we are testing with dependency injection, we can do like this. We have our controller function here that we are testing. We're requiring it in, and then we can stub the things that we are sending to it. So, for example, if I want, like this test is saying, when trying to log in with bad email, should send... Oh, sorry. I should remove this. I have my shoulds here in a separate section. When trying to log in with a bad email, I can stub that the email validator, that function that validates, it returns false in this test. So I don't have to make up an email address that is bad, and I don't even have to write the email validator before I start working with it in this code here. So we are passing the faked email validator to the login with email controller. Let's give you a space there. And the controller is getting instantiated. And then we have created a fake request that has a body with an email with some mumbo jumbo in it. We don't care about that value in this test. And we also faked the res. Well, think of this as some kind of express app. As I said earlier, it's not good code for... It's not good server code. It's just a basic example of dependency injection. And the invoke function gets this request and response. And then we are asserting that we should have an error code. And this is also something that you should read up on. Stubbing things with sign-on. When you're doing TDD with JavaScript, you can stub functions and then you can get the values they are called with. So here I am asserting that this code here is calling res.json once, and that is calling it with the error code bad email. And I'm also asserting that res.status is called once and called with status 400. So if we are looking here, well, the email validator validates, it's returning false, and then the other two criteria there are fulfilled. So this is And once again, my recording program stopped. But this is how you can work with dependency injection in tests. And this is, as I said, very powerful because you can mock and you can fake what you're passing in. You don't have to care about setting complex things up. You can just mock the thing you want to test. For example, if I want login with email controller to validate to true, I can just send in true here. But now my test will fail, of course, but like that. So you can mock everything that you are passing in. All right. So that was testing. It's one. It's very easy when you're using dependency injection. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to. Well, we have covered the why a little bit, and then how. Well, I gave you an example before how it's used. Here, that we are taking this thing in here, so I think we can skip that part. And then we are going to look at the dependency loader. This is, it's this one. Hide that one. Node.js dependency loader. It's on NPM, and you can install it by copying this into your, yeah, you know how to install things from NPM, I guess. And then there are some documentation here. The documentation isn't awesome, but yeah, you understand. For example, this here, it's wrong. You need to require that part. But I'm going to show you how I have created a very small similar application with this one. So let's close basics and go to dependency loader example. I have an index file here, and I am requiring the dependency loader like this, you see. And then this time we're going to fetch contacts as an example. So let's say we have a user, we want the user contacts. So we are requiring the controller, and then we are requiring the dependency loader. I mean, we are instantiating the dependency loader. And the dependency loader, it's requiring a dir name. And if you don't know what this dir name here is, it's the path to your to the file, this file. And the dependency loader, it needs this because it's searching the files for your dependencies, so it needs to know where it should start. I think that's mentioned in the documentation. Yeah, root path there, and then you can read all this text. It explains a little bit better. And then we are instantiating the controller that we are well, this one, by using the dependency loader load with the function name, the module name, and then the module itself uninstantiated. And what the dependency loader is doing then, it's instantiating the controller or the dependency, the module here, and it's also fetching and instantiating the module's dependencies. So if we are looking at this controller here, we see that it's using a contacts gateway. The invoke function here, it takes request and response, and it's extracting the user ID, and then it's fetching the contacts for the user by the contacts gateway. And this function here, it's just this module, it has a dependency of its own, contacts formatter. And what you see here is just an example contact that is being returned by, oh, sorry, I should zoom in. The contact formatter, it's returning the contact information that we want in this case, but that's just the name. So we're just returning the name. So what we are seeing here, it's a controller that has a dependency, and the dependency itself, it has a dependency. So when we are instantiating the controller here with the dependency loader, the dependency loader is loading these dependencies too. So as you're seeing here, we are never passing in the dependencies manually. The dependency loader is handling that for us. So I'm going to run this function here in my terminal window. I hope you can see. Maybe I should use this. It's a bit clearer, easy to look at. So we are in dependency injection demo. We should go to dependency loader example, and then we're doing node index.js and running that, and we are seeing that we are getting name, well, this list of contacts, and that's logged here in the controller. So we are getting from context formatter, well, I think you get how it works. You get the contacts gateway from the dependency loader, and you can use the dependency, and we are getting this contact here formatted by the context formatter, and then we could see that on the screen here when we run the function. So the dependency loader injected all the dependencies for us. We just needed to install it. So I think that was everything. I hope you liked the video. I don't do so many videos, so I'm a bit bad at it. Hard to think and talk at the same time. But please give it a thumbs up if you like it, and try the dependency injection pattern and the dependency loader NPM module. And well, good luck and happy coding.